Assalamu alaikum guys, in this video we'll learn what's new in Laravel 10.15. Let's start. As we learned, we will upgrade our current Laravel project version. So if I run PHP artisan about here, this command artisan about, I am now using 10.14, but I will go to my composer.json file, and inside Laravel framework key here, I will set it to 15 instead of 14. Then I will run composer update, and now if I try to say PHP artisan about here, as we can see, it's 10.15, right? So let's start. The first thing here in the new version is creating or adding sub main schedule. So if we go to our kernel here inside console for running schedule commands, here kernel inside console, and as we can see here, the minimum time for running methods was 1 minute or every minute, but now it supports a sub minute or seconds, even every second. So if we go here again and I will say every second, I will reindex my platform here. I will say now every second, and as we can see, it works here. So now the minimum unit or minimum period is every second. We can also add every 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and so on. We can say here, for example, every 30 seconds here, and it works also, right? The second thing here is raw SQL methods. So they added these 3 SQL methods here. So if I go now and I run here composer dump just for rethinking these methods, and if I run it inside PHP artisan tinker, and I will say user first, for example, it's null. And if I want to see the raw SQL of this query, I will say here to raw SQL. Let's convert it to query builder actually. So for example, where name equal to Ahmed, and as we can see here, instead of adding this symbol here using normal toSQL method, as we can see toSQL here is the difference, or here is the new method to raw SQL. It shows the real value instead of adding a question mark for binding SQLs or query SQLs. The other method here is dump raw SQL. If we run here dump raw SQL, here it dumps, as we can see here, right? And if we want to die and dump our raw SQL, we will use dd here, and the same logic of dd, right? So let's skip this inline attachment notification here, and also I will skip get raw query log. I will explain it in a separate video. Another method here is URL string added to str class or helper here. So if I say for example str is URL, instead of using a break match or regular expression, I will say test, for example. It's not a URL. If I add here, for example, http here fb.com, it's a URL. If we add www here, it also works. It also supports other protocols, as we can see here. It uses validate URL method or validator, right? And the next thing here is adding HTTP exceptions inside views or inside blades between PHP directives. So if I go here, for example, to my maybe welcome.view, and we can use it here inside PHP directive. So I will say add PHP and add end PHP, and we can say a port 404, right? So if I go here now to my application author.test, it throws 404. We can use it as it's shown here inside logic, right? Here is some important points in Laravel 10.15. If you find it useful, support me by clicking on like, share, and subscribe. See you in next video.